Hey, I'm in my car and I wanted to do a video. So I'm just showing you the dashboard for something to show you. It's a hybrid. It's a Camry hybrid. And it's not really what this video is about. It's just to give you a visual. I'm traveling and I'm not able to do what I usually do when I'm in my home to create better visuals for you to watch. So here is what I want to talk about. I put up a video recently where I talked about another individual identified John Belushi portraying Donald Trump. And I know that's met with some questioning, and that's fine. Everything can be questioned and should be. And I'm not necessarily going to try to prove this to you, or let alone anything. All I can really say is there's a high resemblance between John Belushi and Donald Trump. So a lot like in the social sciences, it's very difficult to formulate causation. At most, what you can do in social sciences is refer to correlation. So let's refer to correlation. There is a correlation between the actor John Belushi and Donald Trump. You can look at the gentleman's video. The channel is Omega, and he puts it up as 100% proof that John Belushi is Donald Trump. Well, I don't think anybody can give 100% proof of much of anything, so it's a little difficult to make such a claim. However, I would really like to thank the individual who has authored that channel, because he's allowed me to think a lot more about the hoaxes and the actors that play the American presidents. Back to John Belushi, there's a high resemblance also between Melania Trump and the wife of John Belushi, Judith Belushi. So in my own research, I correlated, yes, there is some definite resemblance and some good probability that John Belushi has played Donald Trump. All presidents have been phonies. All. A-L-L. Very first one, George Washington. The portraits of King George were borrowed and used in America to create a fictional character called George Washington. There never was an individual by the name of George Washington. It was a fictional character made after the image and likeness of King George III. There is a possibility that King George III had a brother or a twin, but I don't think so. I think they just used witchcraft to create a figure called George Washington. Other examples, D.W. Griffith, the great movie producer in the silent era, plays Woodrow Wilson. Now, I have that on my channel. I believe it's here on War Backwards is Raw. But I might also have placed it on Plato's Cave Revisited. There are other examples, but I think I'll just stop right there and say that regardless whether you believe John Belushi plays Donald Trump or not is not extremely important. What is most vital is that you realize all presidents have been phonies. And sometimes several people will play the same president. So there could have been several actors play Donald Trump, for example. Also, I had a video whereby I tried to identify Joe Biden. And I made the claim that Joe Biden is played by Johnny Carson. And I know that many people will have a hard time accepting that. And I understand because of the age factor. But one thing you may not realize is this. Because these individuals are so demonized, they can and they will get a little extra time. Now, this is hard to understand. But if a servant is a good servant of the devil can arrange it so they get a little extra time. And in the book called Hebrews, chapter 2, the writer of the Hebrews tells us that the devil has the power of death. Now, this is a mystery, and I don't understand it completely. So I'm confessing I don't understand it completely. Because God has appointed a day of death. But the devil also, in some measure, has control over death itself. And a lot of that has to do with sin, and some of it may have to do with if they please the devil can give them a little extra time. But when your life is in the hands of Almighty God and you are doing the will of God, then your day and hour is completely, 100% in the hands of Almighty God. So some of these individuals that we know that are highly demonized and play a great role in controlling the earth, they may receive additional time granted to them by the devil. And they may stay a little extra on this earth. So I'm just suggesting the possibility that Johnny Carson is still alive. And he's actually playing the role of Joe Biden. Now, I did a video on that, and I think it's on Plato's Cave Revisited. I'm sorry I forget where I place my videos, but if you go to Plato's Cave Revisited, you may find it there, where Johnny Carson will actually, in one of his television Tonight shows, talk about Joe Biden, and Joe Biden stealing ideas and speeches, plagiarism. But I think that Johnny Carson has played Joe Biden all along from day one. All the senators and people in House of Representatives and stuff, they're all phonies too. I'm not saying they're all actors, but they all know that it's all phony. Why is it all phony? Because once again, America collapsed in 1933. That's right. So you don't need to worry if it's Biden or it's Trump, because it happened a long time ago. It happened before you were born. Everything fell apart, and the nation came under military rule. And that's why you see the Admiralty flag in the court system, because it goes back to Admiralty rule, which leads back to England. So England still governs this nation. It's just before it governed it a different way. Now it governs it by fascism, meaning the emergence of a false government and corporations. So if you don't believe that, you're missing out on something. On one day you might say, well, gee, the corporations are ruling. Especially when you go shopping these days. On the next day you might say, gee, it's all coming out of Washington. Well, the truth of the matter is they blend together. And that's why you have on the statue of Abraham Lincoln in Washington, D.C., the tremendous godlike statue, you'll see the symbol of the fasces. That's a bundle of sticks wrapped up in one with a cord. And his hands are on them. Take a look at it. Okay? So what that means is that basically fascism is corporations and government working hand in hand to rule the nation. And if you don't believe it, when you go shopping, you'll find out. You're under a certain rule that requires you to do certain something to come into their store. And sometimes the employees act a little like they're police officers. So, anyhow, I rambled on quite a bit, and I just want to thank you if you got to the end of this video, because I know most people watch only for a certain few minutes and then they go to something else. So once again, thank you very much, and I'll try to do my best to touch up on this matter when I get back to my home residence, and try to give you some more info on John Belushi as Donald Trump, and possibly even do a little more on Johnny Carson as Joe Biden. Thank you. End of video.